Good morning. It is June 2nd, Tuesday, and this is your Elmira Baptist Church Daily Update. Let me begin by saying yesterday the update was posted late, and I apologize for that. I'm trying to record this ahead of time and then post it right at 11 every morning. I cannot always be in front of the camera at 11 anymore because I am getting out more. There are more responsibilities that take me away from my home and from my office. And it's not easy to record at my office anyway because it usually takes two people to record, and when I'm at my office I only have one. So just keep that in mind. If it's not there right at 11, it should be there within a few minutes, but I will try to have it there right at 11. Here's the quote for today. Something in the evil spirit of our time forces people always to pretend to have found some material and mechanical explanation for wickedness. It never crosses the modern mind that perhaps a people is chiefly influenced by how that people has chosen to behave. G.K. Chesterton, about 100 years ago. Well, let me start with some news for the church family. Wednesday night's prayer meeting will be a virtual prayer meeting. I'll be live streaming from my house, and you'll be at your home when we are done with the Bible lesson and sharing of requests. Then we'll go to prayer in our private homes. The following Wednesday night, Ken Lynch will be with us. We'll be meeting at the church. Remember, for the sake of social distancing, we're trying to keep that number down to 30 people or less, and so I'm asking you, if you would, to reserve your spot ahead of time for those meetings. And then the following Wednesday, that would be Wednesday the 17th of June, I will be at the church building. There's my peacock again. I'll be at the church building. I'll encourage you to come to the church building and join us there for a Bible lesson, sharing a prayer request, and then those that come, we'll pray right there at the church building. We'll continue to live stream the Wednesday night service as well so that you can participate at home. And again, I cannot stress enough that the most important part of that midweek service is prayer. Now, on Sunday, Ken Lynch will be with us. In fact, Ken Lynch is now going to be with us from Sunday, June 7th to Sunday, June 14th. And the reason for that is that two of his meetings that he had scheduled here in California, three of those meetings have been canceled in the last few days. And he's a friend of mine. I met him when you did in November of 2019, but he's a friend. He's a man of God, and I wanted to make it possible for him to stay somewhere. He doesn't have another meeting until June 21st. It is in California, and so I said, well, just stay there at the church. He has a motorhome he's driving, and so he's going to preach for us on June 7th and on June 14th. Now, for June 7th, I'm going to invite those of you whose last name begins with the letters N through Z to come on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Those of you whose last names begin with A through M, I'm going to invite you to come to the 5 o'clock service in the evening. We just flipped those. Two separate services, different music, different sermons by Ken Lynch, and I think you will enjoy not just his preaching, he's a good preacher, but also his musical ability. Yesterday, Monday, he set up a couple of his instruments in the church building already, and so we're looking forward to hearing from him Sunday. We'll also meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night for sure, and very possibly Friday and Saturday as well. So I know change is hard. I know uncertainty is hard. It's hard for me, but if you'll just bear with me, we'll make these. I'll make these announcements to you as soon as I know for sure what we are doing. Now, someone asked me just yesterday, what are the guidelines for attending? If I would like to come, what should I know? So let me just recap some of the safety measures we're taking and how you can help us. First of all, take your temperature before you leave your house, and do not come to the worship service if you're sick. If you have a fever, definitely no. A cough. Now, I was coughing the other day because I swallowed wrong. I'm not talking about that type of cough, but a cough or a sneezing. Occasional sneeze, we understand, but if you have some nasty allergies and you're just constantly sneezing and coughing, eyes are running, please participate from home. Even if it's only allergies, we wouldn't know that, and that's going to make people uncomfortable. And remember, we want to do what Philippians 2 says. Look not every man on his own things, but also every man on the things of others. So keep that in mind. When you do come to a service at the church building, a worship service, please maintain a distance of 6 feet between you and the other families from the time you arrive until the time you leave. And we have spaced the seats in the auditorium so you can remain 6 feet apart from others. Just as a general rule, there are 7 seats in each of those rows now. We've put seats on the side. You'll see when you get there. I'm asking people to leave a distance of 3 seats between them and the next family. And some families just fill up a whole row, and that's good too. Wash your hands, if you would, before leaving your house. Hand sanitizer is available as soon as you enter the church building and also in the bathrooms. The peacock agrees with that. Please feel free to use that sanitizer as you come into the building and as you use the bathrooms. The bathrooms are available for use, and we are disinfecting those on a regular schedule. When you're at the church service, nothing is being passed out. No bulletins, no hymn books, no offering plate, no elements of the Lord's table at this time. We have been taking an offering by placing the offering plate at the front and allowing you to come to the front and place your offering there while the pianist plays an offertory. You can also give online, or you can give by sending it in the mail. Now, if you would like a bulletin, I would encourage you to print one out before you leave. Cindy is going to continue to send those out by email. And that will allow those of you that are participating from home to also participate on Sundays. I strongly encourage the use of masks, and I will be wearing one from the time I enter the building until the time I preach. It's hard to preach and to give announcements with something covering your face. So I take the mask off at that time. But I strongly encourage the use of masks, and I also strongly encourage people to fellowship outside. We've got a beautiful patio there now, a lot of space. There's some places to sit if it's not unbearably hot. Fellowship outside on Sundays if you would. Let me just remind you that each one of us must take responsibility for our own health. So if you have fragile health, there are some underlying conditions, and you're concerned about that, rest assured we will continue to live stream both Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, Sunday evening, 5 o'clock, and the Wednesday evening midweek service at 7 p.m. We'll continue to live stream those for the foreseeable future. And if you're ever watching a live stream and it suddenly disappears and you know it's not done, service is not done, please give us a few minutes. We'll do our best to get that back up. But because each one of us must take responsibility for our own health, if you are sick, or if you're concerned that you may become sick by coming, it would be best for you to participate from home. We, as a church, we would be devastated if someone came to one of the services, became severely ill from attending one of the services. So that leads me to our prayer request. Please pray for the protection of our church. Pray that the visit from Ken Lynch would revive us, would restore our spirit. I think of Psalm 123, He restoreth my soul. We need that at this time, so pray for that. Now, our Bible lesson today comes from Psalm chapter 11 and Psalm 12. So if you have your Bible, Psalm 11 and Psalm 12. Psalm 11 and verse 5 says this: "The Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked, and him that loveth violence his soul hateth." But the wicked and him that loveth violence. There are some people who just love violence. A lot of applications from this. They love violence in their movies. They love violence in their video games. They maybe love violence in their homes. I hope not. They love violence in the streets. And I said yesterday, there's no place for racism in our hearts and in our minds, and that's true. The death of George Floyd is a tragedy and needs to be investigated as a homicide. But looting and destruction of property, vandalism and violence will not honor his memory or the memory of anyone else who has been unjustly killed. When we want to strive for justice in our society, destroying other people's property is not the answer. Just last night, Monday night, here in Fairfield, people tried to break into or did break into various local businesses. These local businesses have nothing to do with George Floyd's death or injustice. They're not being targeted because the businesses themselves are trying to maintain systemic injustice. So I just want to remind us that racism is wrong. Looting, vandalism, destruction of property, throwing things at people. I learned that was wrong when I was a kindergartner. All of this is wrong, and we need to refrain from this type of dangerous and wrong behavior. Psalm 12:8 says this, "The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted." It seems to me that one reason we have such wicked men walking, strutting about, boldly walking, is because our society has begun to exalt that which is vile and that which is wicked. And this is going to be one result. So what's the answer? Prayer. Prayer for Christians to be revived, for our soul to be restored, and for us to live the Christian lives that God has called us to live. That's the answer. So, boy, as if things couldn't get crazy enough, first the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, and now looting, vandalism, destruction of property right here in our own towns. But God is still in control. And we need to pray to Him and trust Him. Now remember, we'll meet again tomorrow, 7 o'clock in the evening for the midweek service. That will be live streamed. I'll see you then.